Hi, welcome back to Business Inspirations. I'm Coach Cynthia, and we're back with Mr. Ramesh Divyanathan from BMW. And BMW, target market-wise, you know, who is your target market? Do you actually focus on a certain age or psychographic or something, or do you just have a wide target market that you're working on?
Well, actually, it's a very wide target. Although, when we look at the demographic group, it would inevitably be people who are obviously more well-off, more affluent. But it's a really aspirational brand. So, we ensure as well that, it's got a really wide mass appeal. In fact, BMW is the most searched for brand in Google. If you look at all the terms that people Google for, it's the most searched for brand in Google and in eBay, for example. So it's got a really wide appeal across all customer income groups, for example.
Right.
But our own customers obviously are much more affluent. And when we do advertising, when we do any particular event where the brand or the product is being portrayed, one has to be very careful about how it's being seen, what sort of customers are being seen next to our product, for example. And I think it's important to realize that how a customer looks like may not necessarily be how they would want to be seen, because we all have certain ideals in mind about how we want to be seen. We want to be good looking, we want to be smart, we want to be interesting and sporty, for example. So our advertising generally portrays people in these situations because our customers see themselves in those situations with these with these traits, for example.
Right, so how do you, okay, maybe go a little deeper about that, because when I talk to businesses, they say, well, I want to communicate to a wide range of customers, but how do I create one? You only have 30 seconds, perhaps, in a commercial. You only have one page in an ad. How do I communicate to all these people without excluding anyone, but yet communicate that my brand is for this wide target market? What points do you pick on when you create such a short commercial or such a short ad that will communicate to all these different target markets?
I think if one wants to be, have a wider appeal, one has to go into something which appeals to a wider demographic group, a wider group of people, essentially. And that's why the beauty of the core brand value of BMW, which is joy, it's a very universal emotion. Everyone wants to have joy. When we advertise, when we do our marketing, we never talk about the price. You never see it, you rarely see, I would say, you rarely see a price being advertised anywhere, because that's quite often a turn-off for many people. Oh, I can't afford it. Only the rich people can afford it. So you talk about different values. You talk about the fun of driving this car. You show people's emotions when they're enjoying the car, whether they're sitting in the back, enjoying music, looking at the re-entertainment screen, for example, or they're just driving it in a sporty way. You show the emotions. You show that they're really happy, they're enjoying themselves, and every single person can relate to this, whatever income group they are. And this is how BMW becomes an extremely aspirational brand.
I see. Okay. So we talked about the product, creating that joy in the design and everything. I'm sure, though, in creating the brand, there's also the system that goes into it, and also the people that the customers meet and the dealer. Tell me about the balance in creating a brand. What is the people, the product, the system? What goes into that, and what's the balance between them?
I think the key point here really is more people than systems itself. Systems can be purchased from many other different companies. The key factor here is the people, and I think the people make BMW. Our engineers know how a typical BMW should feel like, and we have I think over 7,000 engineers working in our headquarters in Munich, and there's such a level of expertise and of specialization that you just can't imagine. For example, the people who just specialize in how the sound of a door should sound like for BMW. How should the windows sound like? How should the switches sound like? And these people, you can't teach them. There is no textbook for how a BMW should sound like. And they know it through years of experience. They know it because they relate to the brand as well. And the same for our designers. They live and breathe the brand. And I would say, if it goes on even to the receptionist. I had this funny receptionist years ago in Singapore. She was really, really efficient. She always came on time. She stayed long hours, and she knew her job. You never have any call that didn't get through. But she just didn't sound really friendly. And we kept telling her, look, joy is the brand attribute, and you have to sound joyful when you pick up the phone and say good morning BMW Asia, for example. And so we told her, look, here's a mirror, and when you pick up the phone, look at yourself in the mirror and make sure that you look friendly. And when she did that, it just was a transformation for her. So I would say, I think it's the people really are the key to every single business. It's a cliche, but it's very, very true. And more so for BMW. We train our people very intensively. We've got things like the BMW Brand Academy in headquarters in Munich. And the Brand Academy tells people what the different brands we have, because the BMW Group has got 3 brands. It's got BMW, the core brand. We have Mini, and we have Rolls-Royce. And even though I personally am not responsible for Rolls-Royce, but it's important for me to know that this is Rolls-Royce, this is Mini, this is BMW. And every single employee, not necessarily people who are in marketing, everyone goes through this BMW Academy.
Right. It's interesting because automotive industry, I'm imagining there's people who are in the front, dealing with customers. Yeah. There's also people who are assembling things.
Yes.
And then, of course, people in the middle, even in accounting, maybe even in purchasing, things like that, the back of the house. So we want all of them to have that joy in their hearts and in the way they work, right? But for some people, for some positions, that comes naturally. But for some positions, I'm installed, cha-plunk. How do you develop your people? Tell us more about that Brand Academy, or how do you develop, or perhaps we start at recruitment. How do you recruit people to select the best people who could exemplify the brand?
Well, you're right in the sense that, Cynthia, that there are some jobs where, of course, you're frontline, and you have to really represent the brand because you're the face of the company, face of the brand. And there are people who are at the back end, and of course, they don't have to really represent the brand so much. And we don't necessarily have to recruit them. But I think there are certain universal values of BMW that we still want to have. They may not necessarily have to represent joy, but I think, for example, the other attributes like being dynamic, which for us, my interpretation in the workplace is someone who is really hardworking, someone who is diligent, someone who's ambitious. And these are values that I see in BMW, and I see that every employee should also have these values as well.
And do you incorporate that into the KPIs? And is there brand attributes in the KPIs itself?
Yeah. There are certain basic principles that we teach every employee. You need to have these principles. At the same time, when we do the annual appraisals as well, some of these attributes are also in their personal assessment, and we tell them, for example, you need to do this and this. These are the things that you have to develop upon. And it correlates ultimately to the brand. Not directly to say, we don't tell them this is the logo and this is the brand values and you fail here, for example. But there are other attributes relating to dynamism, relating to being challenging, to being ambitious, which are part and parcel of BMW as well. And they understand this.
I see. It's great. Next up, in Business Inspirations, BMW, as we said, works with dealers. So internal people you can control very well, but what about dealers? So we'll find out next from Mr. Ramesh how the brand is delivered through the dealerships. Stay with us at Business Inspirations.